your business to new insane revenue levels doesn't have to be overwhelming. It's all about the right strategy, team, efficiencies, and confidence. Welcome to the Entrepreneur Evolution podcast. With over 1 million downloads, it's the go-to business podcast dedicated to business owners who want to evolve out of operating in the day-to-day and make their dreams come true. I'm your host, Annette Walter, and I'm so happy you are here. As a former banker, I have now been an entrepreneur for over 15 years and have started, grown, acquired, and sold over 20 multi-million-dollar companies to date. Together, you and I will strengthen your existing business, build your dream team and process, grow your wealth and legacy, all while surrounding you with a community of rockstar entrepreneurs just like yourself. Are you ready to evolve? Let's get started. Welcome to today's episode of the Entrepreneur Evolution podcast. I am really happy you are here. Before I introduce today's guest, I want to personally invite you to join me for 20 minutes to talk about you and your business. You do not have to go through all of this business growth and operational efficiency and building your business and building your team by yourself. I've been there. I've done it. To date, it's been over 15 companies and thousands of entrepreneurs nationally that I've coached, and I want to help you. So don't be shy. Let's talk. And I promise you, the outcome of that 20-minute session for you will be clarity. You'll feel a little bit lighter and you'll have a little pep in your step. So click the link below and let's carve out some time to talk about you. Today's guest is Sheryl Ponds. She is the CEO of DaiTechCorp. We are talking about electric charging stations right now. So if you have that new Tesla or you are thinking about it, this is the podcast for you. I love what she shares, though, honestly, about having one foot in and one foot out. She is a former commercial real estate agent with a powerful network and had this idea that just was with her and did not leave her. And she followed it. And now it's her dream company. So it all sparked from her wanting an electric vehicle and having range anxiety, where she actually has the anxiety of being on the side of the road and something happening where you are not able to either put gas or electricity into your car. So there's purpose, there's meaning, and there is a powerful woman and company behind today's story. So enjoy it. And thanks for being here. We are here because of you. We are building a rockstar community of entrepreneurs, and I'm really happy you are here. Please share with a friend. Please share with someone who will benefit from today's story. Make sure you hit subscribe, and thanks for listening. Keep evolving, entrepreneur. I am so proud of you. Well, good morning, Sheryl. How are you today?
Good morning, Annette. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me here.
Absolutely. I cannot wait to talk to you about this topic. This is so amazing. And just, you're going to bring so much to our audience today. And I just know not only learning about your company and the rapid growth, but also just in this space. So today we are welcomed by Sheryl Ponds. She is the CEO of DaiTechCorp. And I'm just going to actually just turn it over to you. So you can start wherever you want with your journey and story.
Okay.
And walk us up to today, and then we'll go a little deeper from there. Sound good?
Okay. So I'm going to start with my handle. My name is Sheryl Ponds, your enlightened electric vehicle adoption expert and clean tech entrepreneur. I am in the business of EV adoption or electric vehicle adoption. My firm is the first Black and woman-owned company, and perhaps woman-owned company, that specializes in the development of the electric vehicle charging infrastructure.
Wow. Amazing. That's so awesome. That's awesome.
Yes. So what does that mean? What is the infrastructure for electric vehicles? Well, if you guys know any piece of American history, you learn that the first automobile was mass produced here in the United States, in Detroit, by Henry Ford at the Ford plant. And that was a little over 100 years ago, okay? I think of the year is 1918.
Right.
And when he created that car, we did not have the fueling infrastructure that we have right now. The country changed. That was a definitive moment for the US. The country changed when those cars started rolling off of the assembly line. We built highways. We built highways even before we had gasoline stations, okay? Horses were still traveling. That was a common way to travel. Unless you went long distance, you went by train. And buses, I don't think hadn't been created at that time because, because he hadn't invented the truck yet, the F-150. I don't know if the F-150. So anyway, so what happened, so all these things, these highways and byways that we see now, the opportunity to gas up our car at filling stations, now 7-Eleven or convenience stores, as well as, Costco, places like that didn't even exist when he created the car. And it's the same thing when Elon Musk started mass producing electric vehicles. Yes. So I observed that this is a market, it's a parallel, okay? So it is a new industry. I call it the golden age of the automobile 2.0 because the US has a second time around. And I looked at the parallels and I was like, wow, there's something here. And the fact that I was inspired to start the company because I wanted an electric vehicle, but I suffer from range anxiety. Okay. And I'll get to what a range anxiety is. And what happened is that nothing was coming about to relieve my range anxiety. So I decided to start my own company and make access to electric vehicle charging stations more equitable and accessible to people who live in urban environments where it's like really dense and you don't have off-street parking. And that's basically the founding of DaiTechCorp Corporation.
Oh my goodness, I love it. It's just, gosh, there's so much there. Okay. So what year was this when you got the vehicle and you were at this moment?
Okay, I didn't get the vehicle.
Oh, you were thinking about it.
Because I was suffering from range anxiety. So range anxiety, so anyone can have
Tell us a little bit about that, what that is exactly, in case people don't know that. So go ahead. So
anybody can get range anxiety, okay? It's the emotions and the emotions that you feel when your car gets stuck on the road. It's a fear of getting stuck on the road. Okay. You have anxiety, you're embarrassed, you might have self-loathing. It's like all these things.
Okay. Like running out of gas, the car breaking down. Okay. So you're physically, you have the anxiety around, what if I am stranded?
What if I am stranded? And that can happen in a gasoline car, I think about my college days when I was putting like $5 at a time.
Yes, we have all been there.
Trying to get from one place.
I was just there yesterday. I had 4 miles left.
That's range anxiety. Well,
okay, I am so with you.
Okay, so the difference with gas versus electric, just like 100 years ago, if your car ran out of fuel, it might be another 100 miles. You might have to just abandon your car and wait for someone to come by with a horse and buggy and tow you on, right? Today, with the electric vehicle, the reason why people have range anxiety is because you cannot pull an extension cord to charge your car. So you're just going to be stuck there. And when a tow truck comes, there's no gasoline for you. And where are they going to take you to charge up your vehicle? And you think about all that, that's enough to keep people from purchasing an electric vehicle. Okay. So the whole purpose of my company is to alleviate, and one other thing, EV chargers are less prevalent in the public space in urban settings than they are in the suburbs, right? Okay. All
right. So I love it. There's the purpose, there's the mission, there's the passion, there's the everything. So take us from that spark to first step of the business. Go ahead.
Well, the first step of the business was I had a very high demanding job and feeling like it's time to move on, right?
Right.
So very demanding job. And I started doing some research. One thing happened. When I was walking to lunch, are you familiar with U Street in Washington, D.C.?
Yes, in DC.
Okay,
yes.
I was walking to lunch. I believe I was coming from Ben's Chili Bowl, by the way. They make great French fries, all right?
I love it.
So I was walking from lunch.
And you're making me hungry.
I was walking from lunch and I saw this beautiful, brand new Tesla. Just came off. The guy just got it. It had paper tags and everything. And I had already had this thought in my head, like, this is something you want to do, okay? And I waved at him and I was like, stop, talk to me.
Right.
And, he didn't care about his safety. He knew I wanted to talk about his car. And he pulled over and he pulled his car over to the side of the road on the, talk to him from the curb. He didn't know me from Adam. He didn't know whether I meant good or harm.
Right.
He was so excited to talk about his electric vehicle. And I knew that if it created that much excitement for him, and he didn't care, he didn't have an EV charger at home. I asked him, are you charging at home? And he's like, no, I'm not doing that. I said, well, how are you charging your car? He said, I figured it out. I'm just happy to have my car. I knew.
Meanwhile, your anxiety just went, oh my God,
right.
That really stresses me out.
I knew that there were people out here who were excited to buy an electric vehicle as he was, in spite of the price, right? And didn't care that there were no chargers. There were people like me who could make the same sort of purchase,
right?
But was not going to make the purchase because there was no way to charge a car. So I immediately made a market decision. I love that you had based on that conversation. And I started doing research. I had a job that was very, very demanding. My background is in commercial real estate and economic development. So I have a lot of experience. I have a significant amount of experience working with small businesses and working with real estate developers and large major property owners. And just to give you the context of what it took for me to push myself forward. So on my way home, there's a library on my commute. And I pledged that, at least 3 days a week, I would go into the library and spend at least an hour and a half to work on my business plan.
Great.
3 days a week.
Great.
And working my business plan meant sometimes I would be numb from work and all I could do is like sit in front of the computer. But I was there ready to do work. And if I could get one sentence in or one paragraph in, I accomplished a lot. Right. And as a result, I eventually completed the business plan and moved on. And when I did move on, I started my company.
It's great. You gave yourself that space and you were disciplined. That's awesome. Sometimes that's all it takes. I love that you had that moment. Okay. So do you want to walk us through the middle of what happened, after you had the business plan and you started, or do you want to just fast forward to what it looks like today? That's up to you.
It was a rough start because I was still trying to keep my toe in commercial because it is a lucrative business and no one knew what I was talking about when I was talking
about
vehicle adoption.
Yeah, but and a lot of people are going through that right now. That struggle of like, okay, is this an idea? Is this a hobby? Is this just really just something that's in me and it's going to go away, or do I really pursue it? Because I've got a good gig right now. I'm exhausted and all of this stuff.
Well, what happened is I'm a praying woman. I'm just perfectly honest with you about
I am
that.
too.
I can't hold that back. And one day in my quiet time, God spoke to me. He was like, "Are we going to do this again? You're going to keep straddling the fence? What's up?" So. It's time for you to move on.
That's right.
And it had really proven itself out because I was having no success in the real estate space. So I joined an incubator through the Small Business Resource Center for the state of Maryland. It's the SBA program.
Yep.
And became a finalist in the pitch contest. And that was my first earnings or grant towards my business.
Wonderful.
And that's when I knew, I checked that box and said, you know what, you need to just give this other stuff up.
Yeah.
So,
And those
So that's what
those programs on the state level
Mhm.
and the local level are a great place to start. And it will give you that initial funding and
Right.
proof of concept.
Exactly.
Great, wonderful. So then
Yes.
what happened next?
So, so from that momentum, I was able to, the first thing I did is created relationships with the manufacturers. Because one of the things I understood, when it's a new technology, the best opportunity for women and Black folks and other people of color is when the industry is new.
Mhm.
That's when you have to move in.
Mhm.
You cannot move in after the trend has become a thing.
Right,
okay?
when it's saturated, right.
When it's saturated or becomes more mainstream or acceptable. Because what happens is the large players will then decide who can come in and who cannot. And then we all have these discussions around, supplier diversity, minority hiring more women, non-traditional roles. And what's happened is that we have given up our power to a certain extent to them to allow the mainstream to become gatekeepers.
Right.
So
you're actually manufacturing the device.
I'm not manufacturing.
Okay,
but it's around opportunity. It's around, and I had that happen to me before in another industry that I had.
Okay, got it.
I didn't have as much passion, but I saw it happening, and an old mentor of mine, a previous mentor of mine, became like the first lead certified architect in the state of New York. Okay.
Right.
And he was based in Harlem. And up until then, he was begging for work. And he became a lead certified architect like 5 years before it became a thing. And he had, because of that just that window, he had all this opportunity available to him.
Absolutely.
That was totally lost.
Yes. Good.
Okay. So I knew I had to position myself. So the first thing I did is I strategically went after the top manufacturer of electric vehicle charging stations for commercial and residential products. Now, I don't know if that was the case, but that's what I had in my mind because of visibility in the market. So the first thing I did is establish a relationship with ChargePoint. And it took me about 6 months, maybe 9 months, to convince them they needed to bring me on board and have me work with them and be allowed to resell their equipment. Okay. And then once I captured ChargePoint's attention, I was able to cultivate relationships much easier with other manufacturers of electric vehicle charging stations. From the beginning, we have been solutions oriented. So our business emphasis is providing the right solution for the customer and the end user experience they want to create for the actual person that's using the charging station.
Great.
And the reason why that's important is because a person who's buying the charger, especially in a commercial environment, will likely not be the person who's going to use it, but they have a customer that we have to serve and make sure that experience, the experience that they are expecting, meets them at the charging station. And then the decision maker who's purchased the charger, we're providing them all the information and support so that they can make sure that experience at the charger it matches their business strategy.
Great. Okay. So you're the conduit to their end user experience.
Yes, exactly.
Great. Okay.
So we sell to the decision. We sell to like the garage owner, the person that owns the apartment building. We sell to them and we install equipment on their behalf. But they've got a tenant, they've got a retail patron, they have a visitor who will ultimately use that charging station.
That experience. Okay, good. All right. So you're doing the distribution and the install.
Yes.
Great. Okay. So you've had significant growth. Most recently, Fastest 50, right?
Pardon me?
You've had significant growth.
Yes.
Right? Most recently, Fastest 50.
fastest 50.
Different growth levels of. I thought you had won the fastest 50 growing companies.
I don't really know. I haven't.
Oh, I'm sorry. So you've had significant growth. So tell us what the company looks like right now, today, and what the team looks like and how that looks like with the significant growth.
So we did have to pivot, I had these lofty ideas that my business was going to be all commercial. Right. Well, a lot of commercial means that, retail and offices. Well, once COVID hit, no one's going to offices. Yes. So we had to pivot and we went into the residential market, the single family market.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, I found out that, the science of installing electric vehicle charging stations, whether it's commercial or residential, is pretty much the same. Mm-hmm. Okay. It's just the decision maker is probably, usually our customers are married. It's one of the spouses, someone buying an electric vehicle, and they need the charging station because they're tired of using their outlet.
Right.
Okay. That's how we won a lot of business. And so, and it was slow going first. Before I was definitely a solopreneur. It was just me doing everything.
Yes.
Manning the phones. How do you cold call, and they're trying to figure out how you cold call in the industry where no one knows what you're talking about, right? Trying to identify the significant, the pain points for people who would want to purchase an electric vehicle charging station, doing all the marketing work. And fortunately, I was able to navigate my way through some of that. Great. And my current, and so now my team is breaking out, okay, and I have a way to share the weight, okay,
right, good,
the weight distribution. So now I have an operations manager that makes sure that we stay in compliance. Mm-hmm. We are registered, certified women-owned business and minority business with a number of organizations, including the state of Maryland, MDOT. Right. And I also have brought in a sales leader. So we have some sales goals that we want to meet. Yes. And for the residential as well as the commercial market. And he's been brought in to make sure that we start achieving our goals beginning at the end of this quarter.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, and it's so important, even though it's the same product, right? Selling B2B, business to business, is so much different than B2C and vice versa. Right. So it's so great that you're aware of that and that you have the different, dimensions around that to support that from a sales standpoint and operationally. Exactly. So how does it feel now being on the other side, being, in that entrepreneur world versus in the commercial real estate world? Are you glad you did it?
Yes, I am, because I am transaction oriented. Real estate deals take a long time.
Right. Yes.
The type of real estate deals that I worked on take a long time. Right. And so to be independent in that space was probably not going to work for my sensibilities. Right. And granted that there is a decision-making process that takes a while. We are working now to build, to create products and experiences that help narrow that window. For example, when I first started out, it might take me a week and a half to get back to a customer who calls me, right? Before they got any piece of information from us, okay?
Right.
Hey, how you doing? And then they might not get a piece of anything, okay?
Right, well, that's that solopreneur world. It's all you, right?
Exactly. So we brought in a CRM, a customer relationship management application. And immediately our time went from, a week and a half to 24 hours. Okay. And depending on the conversations, we already had the information. It could be as soon as we are off the telephone. Right. So those are the types of things that, that happen for us.
Absolutely. And those things take so much off of you, those efficiencies, the process, and it's so great. So what would be your advice? Because there's a lot of people out there that are, they're calling it the big resignation, movement right now, right?
Right.
A lot of people who have this spark of this idea, who are where you were in corporate world and want to make that move. What's your advice to them?
My advice is, I would say, stay a little bit longer than you think you need to stay. So you can pay for your legal documents,
right?
You can set up your accounting systems, or at least identify your CPA who
Right.
wants to work with you.
Right.
And helps, if you're not familiar, helps school you on how to use accounting programs like Wave or QuickBooks or something like that,
Right.
because you want to use cash, you want to use accrual accounting instead of cash accounting,
Right.
because it looks good. It can look better on paper than cash accounting.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? And your agreements, like we work with subcontractors. We work with electricians who we subcontract we subcontract the electrical work for, okay? And so you want your agreements in place. You also want to have your NDAs in place, okay? And those documents, if you're not familiar with contracting a legal document, you're gonna have to pay an attorney to do that for you. You're not going to get that from the pro bono folks in your city. They'll help you, they'll guide you, but they're not going to write it for you.
Right.
Okay.
And
so,
those are crucial parts of the original investment in your business.
Exactly. And it's better to not. And so what happened is I got out the gate and I didn't have all of that in place. So I found myself backtracking sometimes.
Right.
But and a lot of it is because I've had to develop personally, and now I have to think CEO, not hustler. Okay.
Right.
And so, and I'm not gonna say it slowed me down, but it did kind of make me crazy when folks would say, "Okay, so we're ready to sign an agreement." I was like, "Okay."
Right. Well, I really
love what it plays.
I honestly love, Sheryl, how honest and real you are being about those first stage, because it is a lot, and it's great that you get your first yes when you're really not ready behind the scenes from the documentation standpoint, all of that stuff.
Right.
And as business owners, and we're very creative, we're highly creative. We tend to be more of the idea, and if you don't have that execution and that implementer and those types of things on your team yet, it is all you, and that's hard to jump from one to the other. It is.
Right.
As Henry Ford, to kind of bring it all full circle, he has a quote, and it's thinking is the hardest part.
Yes.
Thinking is the hardest thing. That's why so few really are CEOs, because you have to continue to think and evolve, right?
Exactly.
So what keeps you going? I don't want to take up too much of your time here. So share with us what keeps you going. And then I want you to share with the audience, where we can find you and how we can help support you and some initiatives that you're working on.
What keeps me going is, we are moving from a space where our work is referred through a referral system. And now we're getting organic leads and word of mouth.
Great.
So that's great. Okay.
That's
That's what they tell me, because the other thing is I found out I'm in the electrical contracting business. Even though we're not an electrical contractor, electricians could be our primary competitors, right? Fortunately, they treat EV adoption as ancillary instead of their main focus. Okay, so we are able to deliver a product that most electrical contractors cannot, a product and an experience that they cannot. And we can carve out a really nice niche for ourselves, right? So that's one of the things that keeps me going, is that I'm out here, I'm in a market that's growing. And there's a piece of press every day that's out here. President, every time President Biden drives an electric vehicle, I get phone calls, and I love it. Okay.
That's right.
And there was the auto shows. Every time there's a big auto show, you get reports, the journalists are following it. And the response from my followers, they know that I'm here in this space. And so they're sending me articles, they're sending me press, and just to continue to encourage me. And that's what keeps me going.
It's great. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And tell us where we can find you, support you.
Okay. All right. So my website is DaiTechCorp. I'm gonna move here. DaiTechCorp.com is all one word.
Right.
You can go to our website. You can learn more about the company. We are also on LinkedIn. We're on Instagram. And on Instagram, you can follow our installations. That's where we show proof.
Wonderful.
We know what we're doing out here in the marketplace. We always videotape our first charge. So when a customer, a residential customer, well, even commercial customer, when a residential customer signs on, we've installed their charging station.
Right.
When we videotape their first experience charging their cars, and they get nice green light.
That's exciting. That's exciting.
So we do that. And so you can check out all our first charges and our appearances, and venues in the area. Awesome. And we're also on Facebook.
Great. Good. Well, good. Well, you are just getting started. Yes. I love everything that you shared about, being the CEO and what that feels like. And then all of the operational pieces that go along with that. So this was so wonderful. Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Congratulations on your progress and your growth and your continued success.
Well, thank you, Annette. I appreciate it. It's been a pleasure being on your show. We're going to have to get together and go for lunch.
Absolutely. I know. Right down the street.
There's a spot in Baltimore I want to check out.
So absolutely. I would love that. Thank you so much for being here today, Sheryl.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Wow, what an episode. Did you learn something new? I hope so. I am so happy you were able to be here with us today. I'd love to hear from you. Leave me a review and I will be sure to read it and respond to you. Also, if you'd like to email me, my email address is yourock@ievolveconsulting.com. Hit subscribe, and every Tuesday you'll get notification when the next episode drops. We really have some amazing interviews and tips in the future. Anything you need, I'm here for you. I want you to keep your momentum. I want to help you stay accountable. I want you to stay inspired. I want you to evolve. So please let me know what you need, and I'd love to hear from you. Take care until next time.